Yawata no Yabu Shirazu, the forest you can never leave, Beyond Human's strange stories. Hello everyone, this is Beyond Human. Today I want to share a story about a forest in Japan. It is not a particularly large forest. But they say that once you step inside, you can never come out. Where is this forest? What kind of place is it hiding in? Let me tell you everything from the beginning. Welcome to Beyond Human's strange stories. Now, in Japan there is a piece of land where entry is strictly forbidden. There is a sign right at the edge that says no entry. But this is not just because it is private property. This is not just a safety warning either. The legend says, if you step foot on this land, you will never return. And even if you somehow manage to come back, you will not come back in one piece. For hundreds of years, this warning has been passed down in Japan. And the place at the center of it all is right here. When you look at it, it just looks like a small patch of forest in the middle of an ordinary neighborhood. It is not that wide. And here is the strange part, this place is not deep in the mountains. It is not in some abandoned ghost town cut off from the world. It is right next to a road. Cars drive by. People walk past. There is even a city hall right across the street. And yet, in the middle of all that, like someone left it there on purpose, there is a small bamboo grove. Its name is Yawata no Yabu Shirazu. The official name written on the sign is Shirazu Yawata no Mori. Currently located along National Route 14 in Ichikawa City, what remains is a small forest containing the Shirazu Mori Shrine, surrounded by bamboo and a few old trees. This place is in the Yawata district of Ichikawa City, Chiba Prefecture. It still stands today, right beside Route 14, directly across from City Hall. A small bamboo grove. From the outside, it does not look very wide at all. It is no massive rainforest. It is no endless labyrinth. So why do people say you can never come out once you go in? In Japan, for centuries going back hundreds of years, this place has been famous as a cursed forbidden zone. A place where if you step inside, a mysterious force will keep you there forever. It is known as the most iconic symbol of a forest you cannot escape from. The expression has actually made it into Japanese dictionaries. Yawata no Yabu Shirazu originally referred to this specific location. But over time it became a phrase used to describe a state of total confusion, a situation where you have no idea which way to go, where you feel completely and utterly lost. It appears as a metaphor in the works of Natsume Soseki and Edogawa Rampo, used to capture the image of someone hopelessly lost with no way out. That is how deeply this small shrine in Ichikawa has been embedded in Japanese culture. Today, a small stone torii gate and a shrine remain on the grounds. Behind them, bamboo shoots up dense and thick. The inside of that bamboo grove is not a place anyone should wander into carelessly. You can see the Shimenawa rope, that sacred rope used in Japanese Shinto tradition. When you see this rope, it marks a boundary. It means this place does not belong to the human world. It is a space that humans are not allowed to touch or disturb. The rope is wound around the stones, enclosing the entire area. The forest itself has long been considered a kinzakuchi, a place where entry is forbidden. Although the shrine can still be approached for worship in a limited area, the bamboo grove beyond has always been off-limits. Local historical records describe it as a small bamboo grove protected by a torii gate and a small shrine. A sacred grove watched over by the spirits of the shrine. Now, the legends surrounding this place are not just one. There are far too many. And that is exactly what makes this location so deeply unsettling. Usually when a place has one legend, you can trace it back to a single origin story. But Yawata no Yabu Shirazu is different. The stories attached to this place come from different eras, different people, and wildly different events. Each one stranger than the last. Let me take you through the legends one by one. The first involves one of Japan's most legendary ancient heroes, Yamato Takeru. The story goes that this grove was the site where Yamato Takeru once set up his military encampment during his Great Eastern Expedition. Because a hero of mythological stature made this place his sacred ground, it became a site that ordinary people must never enter. Rather than a cursed forest, this first legend frames it as a holy place, a sacred military ground where a legendary warrior set his formation. The memory of war and myth overlapping in the same soil. A boundary that humans dare not cross. This story is recorded in the official historical records of Ichikawa City. The second legend involves the Katsushika Hachimangu Shrine. According to historical documents from Ichikawa City, this shrine was established around 889 to 898 CE, during the reign of Emperor Yuta, when a divine spirit was enshrined here from the Iwashimizu Hachimangu in Kyoto. The shrine was venerated by legendary warrior lords including Minamoto no Yoritomo, and later Tokugawa Ieyasu. Because this site was the sacred origin point of such a powerful shrine, ordinary people were forbidden to enter. This legend is important because it reveals the deeper meaning behind the warning. The message behind "once you go in, you cannot come out" may not be a supernatural curse at all. It may be a very old warning: do not trespass on sacred ground. The third legend involves a hojochi, a Buddhist release pond. According to local sources, one of the reasons this land was considered off-limits is that it was once the site of a sacred pond used for hojo, a Buddhist ritual of releasing living creatures that were spared from death. This is not just a regular pond. It is a place tied to a deeply religious act of mercy and sacred ceremony. A space that must not be defiled. A place where no one should enter without reverence. This connects the horror of Yabu Shirazu not to monsters or ghosts, but to the prohibition against desecrating a sacred site of life and spiritual practice. But now the stories get darker. The most famous legend of all involves Taira no Masakato, one of the most fearsome figures in Japanese history. Masakato is known as both a rebel and the most powerful vengeful spirit in all of Japan. The legend says that this grove stood at the Kimen, the demon gate, of Masakato's forces when they went to war. The Kimen is the direction from which evil enters, the northeast corner of a territory. Another version says that when Taira no Satomori set up his camp at Hachimantanko to suppress Masakato's rebellion, the battle left behind the Kimen, the gate of death, right here in this grove. Even after the battle ended, people said the gate of death remained open in this spot. And therefore, anyone who steps into this land will surely be struck by disaster. Because the door to death is still open, and if you walk in, you are walking through it yourself. This is recorded in the official historical records of Ichikawa City. The Demon Gate. The Gate of the Dead. This language does not simply mean someone died here. It refers to a portal to the underworld, the direction of death, the boundary between the living and the dead. It does not matter how small the forest is. It does not matter whether the inside is actually a maze or not. What matters is that people believed this was the site where the door to death still stood. A forest that summons catastrophe. And then comes the figure who made this legend famous across all of Japan, Tokugawa Mitsukuni, known widely as Mito Kamen, perhaps the most beloved wise magistrate in Japanese popular culture. The legend says that Mitsukuni heard the stories about this forest and did not believe them. Disaster if you enter? Yokai living inside? Nobody is allowed in? He scoffed at all of it. He was a rational man. He decided he would go in and see for himself. The villagers begged him not to. Please, my lord, do not go in. You must not enter. But Mitsukuni would not be deterred. He said he would verify the truth with his own eyes, and he walked into the forbidden grove. According to local folk legends, the moment he stepped inside, the atmosphere was nothing like an ordinary forest. And what he encountered inside was not a wild beast. Not a bandit. Not a lost traveler. Not a demon. It was an old man with white hair, surrounded by yokai that materialized slowly around him. This encounter was captured in a famous woodblock print, a 3-panel nishiki-e, a full-color ukiyo-e print that spread the story across the country. The title translates roughly as, "Two strange beings appear before Lord Mito." The white-haired old man spoke of the history of this land and rebuked Mitsukuni for breaking the taboo. But then the old man said, "Because you are a man of noble standing, I will forgive you for entering this sacred place. However, from this day forward, you must never break this prohibition again." Warn the villagers as well. Tell them never to enter. In Japanese folklore, a white-haired old man is never just an ordinary elder. He could be a messenger of the gods. He could be the master of the land itself. Or he could be an ancient vengeful spirit. What makes this story powerful is not the monster or the magic. It is the warning. The warning was real. And because Mitsukuni took it seriously, because he had the image printed and distributed, the legend became permanent. And there are more stories. According to a database of legends connected to this place, there are accounts of the sound of someone weaving cloth coming from inside the forest late at night. There are stories of a young woman who came to borrow tools from a nearby household, and when she returned them, the tools were stained with blood. There is a ghost said to appear on horseback, Satomi Awa no Kami. There are accounts of those who guarded the severed head of Tara no Masakado rotting into the earth like clay figures, witnessed by someone who passed by. This is not just a forest mystery. Shiratsu Yawata no Mori. The sign is there. The woodblock print Mitsukuni encountered is depicted right on the large public information board at the site. Yawata no Yabu Shirazu is not one legend. It is a place where the old anxieties of an entire region, the fears and warnings of generation after generation, have been accumulating and layering on top of each other for centuries. The memory of war. A sacred shrine. The gate of death. Yokai. A white-haired old man. A woman's blood-stained tools. The sound of weaving in the night. A horseback ghost. All of it lives in this one place. But here is the thing. There is also a very practical explanation that exists alongside all of this. According to tourism materials from Ichikawa City, this land was historically an ariachi, a piece of communal land jointly owned and used by a specific community. Because this particular plot belonged to the community of the neighboring district, the residents of Yawata were simply not allowed to enter. And so they called it Yawata Shiratsu. Shiratsu means does not know, or unknown, in Japanese. The people of Yawata do not know this place. They are not permitted here. Over time, the name Yawata Shiratsu may have transformed into Yabu Shirazu, the forest that no one knows. A very practical land boundary eventually became a supernatural curse. The prohibition transformed. What began as a simple trespassing law, do not enter this communal land that belongs to our neighbors, became, you will be punished by the gods. You will be cursed. The demon gate will swallow you. Legends piled onto legends. And there is another fascinating detail. This place has been a tourist destination for a very long time. According to Ichikawa City promotional materials, there is a stone monument inscribed Fuchi Yamato no Mori. It was erected in 1857, during the Ansei era. And photographs from the late Meiji to early Taisho period show a small tea-house-style building beside the monument, built to accommodate visitors. The records explain that by the late Edo period, Yabu Shirazu had already been developed as something like a tourist attraction. And there is something deeply strange about that. Look at the old photographs. You can see people gathered around the edge of the grove. This is a place where entry is forbidden. And yet people come to see it. A forbidden place that draws people in precisely because it is forbidden. Think of it like a haunted spot, an off-limits location that people dare each other to visit. The more you cannot go in, the more you want to. The less you can see, the more your imagination fills in the darkness. That is how Yabu Shirazu became famous. And its current appearance is even stranger. Everything around it is just regular city. Route 14 runs right past it. City Hall stands directly across the street. Residential houses press up on either side. And yet inside, the bamboo remains thick and untouched. It is as if the city swallowed everything around it, but could not bring itself to devour this one small patch. Or as if the city grew around it deliberately, bending its streets to avoid disturbing the grove. That is the atmosphere of Yabu Shirazu. It is not frightening because it is deep in the wilderness, cut off from civilization. It is frightening because it is the exact opposite. It looks ordinary. It sits in the middle of everything. It seems like anyone could just walk in. And yet no one does. A prohibition that has survived for hundreds of years, right in the middle of the living world. Here is where you do not enter. You know what? The truly frightening places might not be ruins or abandoned mountain trails. It might be right beside the road where traffic flows every day. Where there are traffic lights and city buses and a government building across the street. And right there, in the middle of all that ordinary life, a forest that no one ever enters. Is that not the strangest thing of all? Yawata no Yabu Shirazu is exactly that kind of place. Not grand. Not sprawling. But for hundreds of years, the Japanese have called it the place where you lose your way. The place from which you cannot return. The place where stepping in means you can never step out. The place where breaking the taboo means losing something you cannot get back. That memory lives on today. In literature, as a metaphor. At the site itself, as a stone monument. And even now, as a torii gate, a small shrine, and a bamboo grove that nobody enters. In the end, this place is not just a forest with a scary legend. The real horror is this: why has only this small piece of land been left untouched? Why, for hundreds of years, have people been unable to simply clear this tiny grove? If the curse is fake, if it was always just a story, then why has no one modernized this land? Why has no one cleared it? Why have people continued to warn each other, generation after generation, for centuries, not to enter? Why has the legend never consolidated into one single story, but kept accumulating new layers: Yamato Takeru, Masakato, Mito Common, Yokai, bloodstained tools, the gate of death? And most puzzling of all, if the forest is this small, then logically no one should ever get lost inside. And yet people still call it Yabu Shirazu. The forest that no one knows. Shirazu. It means does not know. It means the unknowable. Maybe Yabu Shirazu is not a physical maze at all. Maybe getting lost here is not something that happens to your body. Maybe it happens to your mind. People say that if you actually go in, what you lose is not your physical bearings, but your mental clarity, your sense of reality. Your spirit. Once you enter, you may leave behind more than you brought in. So perhaps the warning, once you go in you cannot come out, means something else entirely. Perhaps it means, once you learn the legend of this place, you can never again see it as just an ordinary bamboo grove. Just like you, right now. A small forest in the middle of the city. A darkness locked behind a torii gate. The sound of bamboo swaying in the wind. And deep inside, the ancient prohibition, the gate that no one was ever meant to open. That is Yawata no Yabu Shirazu. The forbidden forest of Ichikawa City, Chiba. A place in Japan that no one is ever supposed to enter. Thank you everyone for joining Beyond Human's Strange Stories today. Last time we talked about a story connected to trees. Today we explored a story about a forest. This small grove that has held its secrets for hundreds of years. Small enough that you feel like you could walk in and walk right back out. And yet no one ever tries. What do you think? We will be back next Friday night with another strange story, another dangerous invitation, another visit from the world just beyond the edge of normal. See you then.